Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Confusion. There's a cat over there. Hey Catty, how you doing? So a couple of days ago I posted an image on Facebook where I took a Zbrush character that contains vertex colors, and I wanted to see how far I can bring it inside of Fusion. The purpose of this tutorial is also one more thing. Some people always ask me about the thought process when I create something. They want to know my thoughts. I always tell them, you don't want to know my thoughts. So the tutorial is a little bit long, and there are some bits that are quiet where I not speak a lot, and so yeah, if you want to learn Fusion, just stick to it, and I think you're going to learn a lot. Yeah, let's dive into it. So let's start by importing our object. Import FBX scene. When this window pops up, just make sure vertex colors is checked. Shouldn't take too long. So let's examine this. Here's the geometry. And here's the material hooked in. But we don't actually need this, because the geometry contains vertex colors. Vertex colors are not material dependent, but baked into the geometry's vertices. This transform node we can also get rid of. So let's drop in Merge 3D and the camera. Get a perspective view here. And I'm gonna move back the camera. And perhaps we set a camera in this viewport. By the way, to move the camera, you can use the same controls as you use to navigate in your flow with the mouse or Wacom tablet. Yeah. Anyway, so let's set this to about here and just quickly get rid of the grid and append a renderer. We change the renderer to OpenGL. Down here, activate high quality and turn off this bad boy. Then in the output channels, check the super sampling, and for the super sample settings, we reduce it to 5 while setting the reconstruction filter to triangle. And basically we have already our diffuse pass. Don't forget to set your texture depth to source. Then swing over to the image tab and set it to 16-bit float. And we're good to go. So this is our first pass, but we are going to create a bunch of passes. For that, we copy this merge here, hook in our camera, and this time we also drop in a spotlight. Let's view this. And now we set the spotlight. Let's see. Turn on viewport lighting here. And now we have to make some decisions here. We want some dramatic lighting. So perhaps this light is not lighting up the whole body, but just the upper part. Let's increase the penumbra angle, something like this. I want the fist to be in the light and focus, while on the contrary, this hand here will be in the shade. Perhaps something like this. Let's copy the renderer down here and hook in our stuff. View it. This time we use lighting, so we need to activate lighting and shadows. For the shadows, since we want soft shadows, we need to change the renderer type to software renderer. And in the spotlight, I'm going to increase the density. Perhaps not 100%. Then I choose the softness here to make the shadow softer. I think there's an intersection right there. Be aware that the software renderer is very slow compared to the OpenGL. And it also has some anti-aliasing problems sometimes. So now we have two passes. This one here and this one. we can actually already go ahead and add a Boolean tool. And what I do now is we have a diffuse pass and a raw light pass. Now you're wondering why this renderer doesn't have the colors. It's because the software renderer doesn't support vertex colors. But no panic, since we have the diffuse pass, we can simply multiply the diffuse with the raw light. Don't forget to set the alpha to do nothing and set the operation to multiply. Now what you get is a light pass. Now I don't want this to be absolutely black. I will add an ambient light. Decrease the strength and make it a little bluish. Perhaps a little touch of green. And just a little brighter. So to get back our details in the cavities, we can use the ambient occlusion. For the ambient occlusion, we need two things in the OpenGL renderer. Actually, let's create a new renderer because I want the ambient occlusion to be double res. Let's activate the normal and the Z channel. Swing over to the image tab and change to double resolution. Once done with that, we can add the ambient occlusion, SSAO. Hook in the renderer and the camera. Don't worry, Fusion knows where to hook these things in automatically. If we view this now, we should get the ambient occlusion. To speed things up, guys, reduce the samples to 500. Okay, now this looks a little weak, but it's because of the settings. So I'm going to reduce the kernel settings. You can even go lower here if your machine is slow like mine. Slow and noisy. You can crank the samples up. You can crank the samples up for your final rendering though later. So this is good. As I said before, because of the ambient light, I lose all the details here. What we can do now, I'm going like very dirty now, okay? Very dirty. You can clean this up later if you like. What I would do here now is I could add another Boolean. And I go with this one and I resize it. I resize it down because you can see we don't have anti-aliasing here. I turn it off because many times activating the anti-aliasing gives some strange outlines. Instead, I render double res and resize it down. Okay, and then you get something like this. And then we go down here and hook it in and we multiply it. Multiply. And you can see that we get them details back. Looks almost like some badass GI going on here. You could now merge this on top, just go to see how it looks without with, okay? It's not too shabby. You could also start applying some color corrections right here. And here, let's say this thing is a little bluish. Up to your taste, man. Okay, let's move on with another pass. I'm gonna copy those nodes down here. Hook everything up. And drop in another spotlight. Now let's see what we got here. Perhaps I want the light to hit from the left. And again, we want dramatic lighting. For this light, I'm going to turn on the quadric decay type. That was my dog back there, Apollo. I had to leave him at home the whole day today, and he didn't break a single thing. It was good. And then when I came back, after 5 minutes, he started destroying my carpet. That son of a gun. Yeah. Okay, this light here, I make it a little greenish and perhaps a little stronger. If you want some hard rims, you need to place your light far back and turn it in maybe a little bit. And maybe rotate it down. I don't know, maybe something like this. It's all up to you, man. You have to make those decisions. For example, I really like this hand, and how the light hits this hand. It's quite nice. Perhaps we can make it even stronger. Hey, you gotta do this now? Leave that plastic bottle alone. That dog going crazy with the plastic bottle. So let's render this. It's looking quite nice, quite dramatic. Although we can bring this further. Looks good, looks quite dramatic. If you want to make more adjustments like this, it's a good idea to switch to OpenGL to get more speed. And you could turn off high quality and turn this auto proxy thing on. Because Fusion likes to crash when you move lights in high quality mode while displaying the renderer. So something like this maybe. Oh, what happened? Let's try this for now. Here, you can actually set yourself a preset if you don't want to fiddle around with your settings all the time. So let's say on preset 2, we have the OpenGL renderer, and on preset 1, we have the software renderer. You can see it's bold now. It means you have stored something. So this would be another pass. I'm going to add this one as well. And I mean literally add, since it's a light pass. It's not too shabby. I could imagine some more light here. Perhaps an extra light will do the trick. Let's just copy this string here. And this light as well. Oh, I think Apollo wants to go outside and pee. Hold on a second, I'll be back. Okay, Apollo is in the garden, so I have about 5 minutes. So we have a second light here, which I'm gonna set now. And I guess we hit it from the right this time. I want to have a strong rim on the on this power-loaded arm here. Not so on the other arm though. If you can't do it with a single light, you could add multiple lights, or you could simply mask this out later and do all kinds of fakes. Let's try this one for now. For the color, let's go for white for now. Again, I'm gonna add this. So technically these passes we have to multiply with the diffuse first. Them passes are all raw light passes. And yeah, don't forget to set the alpha to do nothing. You don't want to fiddle around with your alpha. And then to adjust the brightness or color of them light passes, you can insert a color correction node. And now you can control the intensity or color. And it's technically correct. Does not look strange. What color is good here? Maybe he comes out of the fire or something. I like that. Over here, I might make it greenish. And yeah, what the heck? Let's just go with the green for now. So let's get another light here. This time I'm gonna move the light over here. And well, maybe it's reddish. The light which comes from a fire or something. And maybe bring it all the way down here and rotate it up. So let's see what the renderer says. The renderer says this, and I say, I don't like it. So I'm gonna bring the color down and the intensity as well. And you can see the software render quality is not so good. That's why I'm gonna render double res later and then resize it down, so no panic. Let's multiply again with the diffuse. Copy this over. I'm going to reset the color changes here. And bang, we get something like this. At the moment, I don't really know where I'm going, to be honest, but I kind of like it. So at this point, I would say, let's merge in a background. Back into back and the characters into the foreground. Let's assume there's a fire down there. And we're gonna mix this with the noise. I crank up the details here. And we can use a merge to merge this on top, or simply use it as a mask. Here I also like to use a gradient instead. That gives a little bit more control. I'm gonna try invert, and well, what the heck, I don't know. I also like to add another layer on our background with stripes, perhaps. So something like this. I bring this about here and fix it to 0.5 and set this to repeat, and this will give us stripes. Perhaps we make this smaller though. And then we add a coordinate space tool, which I set to polar to rectangle. And bang, we get those stripes originating from the center. Very easy. Then I add another merge. And now I just scroll through and see what looks good. There, this one looks nice here, doesn't it? Yeah. So let's just darken this here, and a brightness contrast should do the trick. With an ellipse mask, invert it and soften it. And then I bring the gain down, something like this. Oh man, this is starting to look like something. It's not bad, but let's just bring this even further. So when you don't know what to do, throw in a soft glow. Glow the heck out of it. No, just kidding. Don't abuse this tool, man. So first, I crank up the threshold to decide which values, or from which values on it will start glowing. Then I reduce the gain. So right there, there's a nice glow going on here. And I also like to add a broad global glow. I don't know how to call it, but because you see, this one will take out them super black areas here and blend them together. So it feels a little bit more natural, in my opinion. But you can do whatever you want. So while we're here, you might have seen those bandings. Sometimes the reason for those bandings is that you might have forgotten to set your background tool or such to 16-bit.
Next. A magic technique that I always mention and I always use is the light wrap. A light wrap is basically two masks of the same thing, whereas one mask is inverted and multiplied over the other. Then we soften the inverted one and you will get this inward feathered outline. And what do we do with that? You know, right? We add the background on top of our character. So I also blur the background because I don't want to see background details on top of my character. The purpose is just to blend the background into the character's edges to make it feel more integrated. But I restrict it with our light wrap mask. And if we turn this on and off now, you can see how powerful this simple technique is. Especially now with the background. Now I apply the Fuse X Chroma, which Stefan Iringer made. And he was kind enough to provide it to me. So it's basically a chromatic aberration tool, but I don't like to use it as such. But instead, I like to use it like very, very gently just to blur the edges a little bit. Because I find that rendered edges, they always look somehow unnatural, at least with a non-physical based renderer. But even there, it's very dangerous. So after that, or before that, we could sharpen it a little bit. So what I don't like at the moment is this big black or dark splotch here. So I'm gonna go back to the light and see if I can soften this out. Yeah, so it's this light here. I make the penumbra angle bigger. Yeah, it became softer. Also, the ambient light should not be blue anymore because I decided to go with the devil. Look at this hand here, man. It almost looks like there's some subsurface scattering going on there. So then I want to add another noise. And I can just copy this one and let's restrict this one as well to, let's say, here, and smoothen this out. Yeah, that's good. For the color, I choose some reds, maybe strong red. And this should be good. And let's not forget to actually add this. Now, after this one, I'm going to add a merge, drop it, drop in a loader, and jump over to my textures. And let's just go with a dirty metal, perhaps this one. CG textures, yeah. Oh man, that burns. So let's calm this down a bit, or quite a bit. I scale this also down. And we could also use a proper reflection pass, but not sure if it's needed. It can give you some rim light effects on some bits though. Another thing we can try is the specularity of this thing is very strong and artificial at the moment. We could bring in a replaced material. And here we apply a UV map and set it to cube map. Then I hit fit. This will map this thing. Now you can see we have a man in this little box. And since we have UVs applied now, we can use bump map. Before this merge, we hook this in between. And just to speed things up, I remove this. And I replace the material. Then I add another texture, maybe this one. What the heck, why not? I drop in a background tool and derive a mask from this here. Make it stronger. And when we hook this into the background tool, we get an alpha, which then we can use in the blend specularity or specular intensity slot. And yeah, here are our splotches. Put this to 16-bit float and then add a bump and set it to bump, yeah. Then, of course, this belongs into the bump slot. Now he is sweating. Maybe I just hook the texture in. Probably a better idea. Yeah, and we would need some better UVs. Perhaps try cylindrical mapping. It's probably these lines here though. So maybe we need a better texture. I didn't see those lines, sorry. So no sweaty for today. We could also crop it, but I'm just too lazy today. Yeah. So let's take this one. Very small, but oh, disgusting. Okay, I try cylindrical mapping now, but cubic should be okay though. Yeah. And I think I need a higher resolution for my texture. So what about this one? Seems to have a lot of details, so what the heck, let's take it. And in the blend settings, let's play with the specularity. Perhaps we bring the color here down. 100% white is a little bit too strong. Yeah, that's better. I'm going to reduce the bumpiness as well. Here it's not bad, but here it's ugly. So let's see what we get now. So yeah, well, Fusion's renderer is not a physical based renderer. So for that, I think it's pretty darn good. But of course, we can bring this even further. I'm gonna tweak them lights. At the end, I add another color correction tool. And I think I'm gonna reduce saturation in the shadows. And in the highlights, I like some greenish tint. Okay, then check out this hand here. At the moment, it has nothing. We can brighten up the background and add some focused rims in order to make it pop. And I'm gonna do just that. Yeah, much better. And now we bring this even further by adding focused rims. All we need is love, our scene and our camera. View it. Yeah, so when people ask me about my thought process, I gotta say, actually, it's an irrelevant question. Because, see, I don't think it matters what other people think or, how other people do things, how other people approach things, because everyone is different. So you need to find a way that is suitable for you, because you're different. You have a different personality. So sometimes I see people who just focus too much on what other people do, and they try to copy them and imitate them. I mean, it's good to get some inspiration, yeah, but then at some point you have to get rid of everything and just go with your nature, go with your flow. So furthermore, when I create, mostly when I'm in the flow, I really don't think. Yeah. So many times while I'm modeling something and then my coworker asks me, "What are you thinking now?" And I say, "I'm not thinking. I'm using the force." And yeah, I don't know. I really don't think much. I just go with what I think I get inspired by what I see at the moment or in that moment, and I just take it and maybe due to the experience, you subconsciously decide what to do and where to go. It's like in martial art. You practice techniques like over and over again, but when it comes to a real battle or to a fight, you are not supposed to think. That's the thing. You have to be empty. And I think it's the same with art. It's like exploring. So like Bob Ross would say, happy accidents. Now I want them shoulders to pop out as well, so basically I will do the same thing. Now finally, use the light wrap to make outlines a little brighter, and then it's up to you whether you're done or not. I call this done, and yeah, my name is Vito. I'll see you soon. Until then, enjoy what you're doing.